heard somebody make a statement this morning, and they said it's hard to follow someone you don't trust. Who wants to follow somebody you don't trust? I started thinking about God. It's hard to follow God if you don't trust him. And so how do we build trust with somebody that's invisible? And especially when we look around us and we see so many visible things that looks like if God's in control, he's really messing things up. He's really messing things up. When the reality is God never stopped being sovereign. And he let me know this, and I've said it before, that I heard him speak in my spirit. It said, just because I gave man, delegated some power to man, we have power, right? We have power to make decisions about our lives, what I have power today, what I'm going to do today. But he said, just because I gave him some power did not mean I gave him my position. Man's not running things. I run my life. I make decisions about my life. But there's a bigger picture. There's a God who is sovereign, who his will be done in the big picture. And he's still orchestrating things. He's orchestrating things. And one of the things I see him orchestrate is helping us to learn how to trust him. The minute you start walking toward him, he will start putting situations in your life for him to show himself that he's trustworthy. Now, the beautiful thing about God is he didn't wait for us to do anything first. The Bible said we love him because he first loved us. He died for us while we were yet sinners. He didn't wait for us to come to him and confess our sin before he forgave us. He went to the cross and took care of that to start off with. He already did that. Not only that, but the Bible says he gave every man a measure of faith. That's huge. That's huge. Every man has a measure of faith. And you see this if you study archaeology, or you see any study of sociology or the civilizations of the world, you'll discover that they have discovered that no matter where they are in the world and what time period, there's evidence. They see evidence that man was looking for something outside himself to worship. They were looking outside. There's something innate. There's a trust in them. There's a faith. With faith just means believing in the unseen. That's all it is. It's trusting in something you can't see. That's faith. It's either a person you can't see like God, or it's an event that hasn't happened yet. The key word is yet. Okay? I might have faith that for healing, and I'm having faith that even though it hasn't happened, I have faith that it's going to come. It's believing something based on his word. I'm believing something is true that I have not seen yet. So that's all faith is. And so you see through the ages, they find little carvings where they might worship some kind of an idol, or the sun, or the stars, or animals. I mean, there's all the forest, Mother Nature. There was always something in man that was put in him from the beginning. To even when he breathed the breath of life into Adam and he became a living soul, there was ability in him to trust an unseen, to long for an unseen, to worship something outside himself. We were created to love and be loved. That's why he made us. This ain't some pass or fail, go to hell project that the sovereign God, let me just see here who I'm going to, you get it right and you're going to go left, and you get it wrong, you're going to go right, whatever. Or I'm going to predestine some people to have this in and some people this. I just don't believe all that. I think there's so much of this that we've not learned yet. And I think there's a little bit of truth in a lot of these doctrines that people have come up with over the centuries to try to figure out this invisible God. And we know religion is just man's search for God, but it's always been there. Because there's something in us that wants to trust something outside myself, because I know I'm limited. I would be very hopeless if I really thought that all I could do is all I could do. Apostle Paul said we'd be of all men most miserable if we did not believe that there was something else. If we didn't know there was something beyond my physical, what I can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch today, we said we'd be miserable. Well, I don't have to be miserable today because I have faith. But how did I get it? How did I learn to trust? I already said it. He's going to put situations in our life that we can see that he's trustworthy. He won't just leave you hanging out with what we call blind faith. God's never required blind faith. He never requires blind faith where I'm going to conjure up some faith. No, I don't conjure it up. What I do is I experience him. I experience him as I follow that little unction that's in me that everybody has. And it's different for people. It's also, what house was you born in? What did they teach you? What country was you in? Did they teach you that there was an Allah? Did they teach you that we should, just worship nature? Or Hindus with sacred cows, or whether it's a Baptist, Pentecostal, Church of Christ, Catholic, whatever it is, that's our view that we come through. That's our screen we already have in our mind. But God will take us on an individual journey to understand there is a God that you can trust. Because if I'm going to follow him, I need to trust him. And I can't trust him if I've not had experiences. So whatever you're going through today, it may be another opportunity for you to learn that he's trustworthy so you can trust him on the next step. I want to tell a quick little testimony here about somebody taking steps that led them to where they were yesterday, giving a testimony in a house of people in recovery. And they were telling that he was raised in a family that had addiction, right? But his grandma then went to church, and he had an experience with the Lord as a child, but he also lived in addiction atmosphere. And so he had learned to cope and to self-medicate with alcohol and drugs, pills and whatever, but that had led him to a life of crime at some point. And so he would try to get back with God, and then he would fall off. He would go back into his addiction, and then he would just like, well, what the heck? I've screwed up. I'm going to hell anyway, and I got to go start all over. And he saw God is always angry with him, or God always requiring him to start over and do something. So he would just go all out. He said, but one day I started understanding grace. When I got the grace message that God had me covered, even when I kept falling down in my addiction, he didn't throw me away. He didn't leave me. He said, when I understood grace, he goes, that's when I quit going to prison. I didn't quit using all the time, but I did quit going to prison, because in his mind, he had bought off on the fact that if I fell off and I'm going to use, and it's all over anyway. So then he would just start doing things like he would just start using all the time and may do crime to get it. He might steal. He might write a hot check. He might, or he just didn't show up to his parole hearings. And so, or his probation, parole, whatever he was doing at the time, and he would send him back to jail. He goes, but when I understood the grace of God, I started learning to trust him, trust his grace, that he was not going to leave me. Even though I was not over my addiction, I kept falling back into that. I didn't go as far. And I had played a song yesterday, and it had a line in it that this, when I run, I don't run as far. How many of you know when you start living for God, it's not all like bam. Now, some people just seem like they just get it all at once. I don't know what happened with them. But most of us, it's a 3 steps forward and 2 steps back, maybe. This dance of life that, we might run, but we don't run as far. And you don't run as far when you know that you can trust God. And you can cry out to him and call out to him. And this is what this young man had done. And he got out of jail this last time, dropped off in the streets of the bus in Fort Worth. And he said, Lord, I don't know where I'm going. I don't have anybody. And now he started walking. And really, it wasn't his desire, but he ended up walking what a lot of us did. He went back to mama's house. He went back home to the family that he grew up in. And he said he wasn't there, but just short time when somebody had a pipe out. They're going to smoke. I don't know if they're smoking meth, what are they smoking, but it was dope. And he's like, I can't do this. I cannot come back to this. I need your help, God. So immediately he remembered a man that he'd met in prison, and the man had said, hey, if you ever need anything, call me. And so he got the man's number. I don't know how he had the man's number, but he called him and the man answered. And he's like, wow, maybe I can trust you, Lord. The man answered. The man said, where are you? I'll come get you. The man came and got him, gave him a place to stay. Before you know it, he ended up back with us in Gainesville. Somebody just happened to need a roommate. And so he came with the man in church and stayed with him. And again, he got clean. He was able to start walking this road. It did not mean that he never fell off again. He still had some relapses from time to time. He said, but this time I didn't give up on myself. I learned to trust God, that even though I was failing, he was going to help me. And so he would get back on, and he said he kept coming to church. And he said it wasn't just he learned the grace of God through understanding the concept of grace, that God's got me, I'm his, he's never going to let me go. But he also said people gave me grace. He said, how else do you see grace but through people? Yeah, I want to be one of those people today that shows grace. Because you know what? I've learned to trust him. And it doesn't mean I have all trust. I'm learning every day to trust him. And if I'm learning to trust you, it's what these videos are about, to testimonies to encourage you that you have a measure of faith in you. You just need to exercise it today. Take this next step. This guy actually started walking across the Dallas Metroplex. He started walking. Today, you may not have to physically walk, but you can spiritually make a step today because there's a God that you can trust. He's not asking you just to have blind faith. He's going to give you situations to build that faith so you can know you can trust him for the next leg of the journey. You don't have to go back. You might run, but you don't have to run as far because God is never going to leave you nor forsake you. He's trustworthy.